Welcome everyone to our July 2022 HMIS user meeting. If you didn't get a chance to yet, please enter your agency name into the chat box so we can take attendance. This is our agenda items and the topics we'll be discussing today. We'll be discussing the data completeness by user dashboards. We have staff updates, the 2022 agency audit, the SSVF project-specific data element. We also have some clarity updates regarding the release of information, city prior, and the assessment location fields. And we have an announcement about the Dropbox Cleanup. And we will be reviewing the data and performance management meeting agenda, and we'll leave some time for Q&A. Erin, can you get us started with the data completeness dashboard?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So we have published data completeness by user dashboards. So we have 3 separate dashboards. The first is the universal data elements data completeness by user dashboard. And then we have another one for program specific data elements at entry, as well as program specific data elements at exit. These dashboards are available now under the user management section of the data analysis tab. Next slide. And just a quick reminder of what universal data elements are versus program specific data elements. So the universal data elements are data elements that are captured by all clients that are entered into HMIS. So this includes demographic information like name, date of birth, social security number, gender, race, ethnicity. It also includes relationship to head of household, disabling condition, the residence prior to entry questions, as well as destination data. And the program specific data elements are included or collected by many projects, but not necessarily all projects or all clients. These data elements include income, non-cash benefits, health insurance, disability types, as well as the DV questions. Next slide. So these dashboards, they look very similar to the dashboards that we've already released for universal data elements and program specific data elements. But these dashboards, instead of being broken down by project, are broken down by user. So this is a sample of what the dashboards will look like. There will be a separate chart for each data element. And then for each user at your agency, you'll be able to see if the responses that user collected were valid responses or missing responses, or client doesn't know or client refused, or in some cases if there are data issues. So the purpose of these dashboards is to help you see if there are certain data elements that your users are struggling to collect, and you could provide more training on, or if maybe some users are doing better on certain data elements and they can share what they're doing to collect that data. So this is just one more tool for you to be able to look at your data and see how your users are doing, what data is being collected. If you want to see the details data for these dashboards, meaning the list of clients that are being included in each chart and which user is collecting that information, you can run the universal data elements and program specific data elements details reports. And those will include all your clients, all the data elements, as well as the user that entered them. And that is available also on the data analysis tab under the data quality section. And I think that's it for me.
And I'm not seeing any questions, so we'll jump forward. We're happy to announce that Andrew has joined our team as our newest data analyst. He has been supporting with support HMS help desk tickets. So if you come across them, please give him a warm welcome. And then Diana, could you please give us some information about the audits?
Definitely. Good morning, everyone. We are beginning our agency audits for 2022. This year, we will be reaching out to your agency 2 weeks before the available audit meeting dates. So you have a few options to schedule the audit and have time to prepare for the audit. Please be on the lookout for the scheduled email, and we will be attaching the audit form for your agency, but it is available on this link if you would like to review it prior to our meeting date. Next slide, please. So this year, with our agency audits, we've added another section to the audit so that we can give you a bit more information regarding your agency. You'll see on the right of the slide, the section that we've added. And as you can see, we've added a large section of attached files. And these attached files contain reports that have information such as active users for your agencies, active projects, current bed inventory, and users that are receiving correspondence from 211. We ask that you please review these reports and complete the audit form questionnaire 2 business days before your scheduled audit meeting time. Next slide, please. And for the audit, we're asking that you provide the participating agency agreement and interagency data sharing agreement. Both these forms must be dated for 2022 and signed with a wet signature by your leadership at the agency. So when you're about ready to get started on your audit, it's important when we schedule that you get this process going for your agency and get these agreements signed off before the audit. This is something that we've run across a few times where there is a process involved as far as getting your leadership to sign these agreements. So as soon as you receive our audit email, please start that process to get these agreements signed and dated for 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. I'm not seeing any questions, so we'll jump forward. Heather, could you please share regarding the release of information?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. We wanted to highlight an update to the Clarity Release of Information, or ROI procedure, as a result of revised HMIS policies and procedures presented last February. The policies and procedures now stipulate that HMIS requires an agency to upload a signed consent to share protected personal information document or submit an electronic signature for a client's yes ROI response at your first in-person meeting. So if your first meeting is not in person, for example, if it's over the phone, you can select verbal consent. However, during your first face-to-face meeting, you'll need to obtain a signed consent agreement. Elizabeth, can you advance the screen? We're going to do a quick review of the screens in HMIS for the ROI procedure. So there are 2 methods to add an ROI for a client: when they're new and you're first creating a profile for that client, and when they're existing clients. So for purposes of this review, we'll just be covering when a client is agreeing to consent to share. So for new users, in the client profile screen, you'll see the release of information section highlighted by the yellow box. So next to permission is equal to yes, that's the default. So you don't need to change that. Next to start date, select a date when the ROI is effective. So the default is today's date, but select the date using this calendar icon for your first meeting. Next to end date, select a date when the ROI will expire if specified by the client. So the default for that is 7 years from today's date. And again, you can change that by selecting the calendar icon. So next to documentation, select the method for collecting the ROI. So if the method is a hard copy, select attached PDF, and you'll be prompted to upload a scanned PDF of the signed hard copy agreement. And I've kind of magnified that little, what you'll see here, and you'll just select the file. But if the method is an online signature, you'll select electronic signature, and then sign the e-document button. And so I've kind of magnified that down below to the right for you. And that's where the consent to share form will appear. So review it with your client and allow them time to read it completely. And then at the bottom of the consent form, they sign and you select apply and then save. So for existing users now, there are a couple of screens to navigate. You'll notice it took a section of the client profile screen, and the yellow banner in the client profile screen will appear if an ROI is missing. So to get to the ROI page, simply click Manage on the far right, or you can click on the shield icon. So which brings you to this next screen, step 2. So the release of information section is on the lower part of the window. To add an ROI, you would select this plus sign, kind of highlighted by the orange box. And that'll bring you to this screen. And this screen looks very much like the procedure that you did for the new client, where permission is yes, you click a start and an end date and the documentation, and you click Save Changes. So further details on this may be found on the OCHMIS website under the Orange County HMIS Policies and Procedures, and link to the knowledge base article on adding an ROI for a client, plus all other links will be provided in the meeting minutes posted on our website after the meeting. That's all for me.
Thank you, Heather. We had a question that came up, so we'll jump back. Diana, if you want to share.
Yes, we had a question regarding whether the agency agreements need to be signed by a program manager for HMIS or by the corporate office for the organization as a whole. Typically, we have the executive director for the agency or someone in that sort of leadership position. So it could be vice president, executive director, someone of that status within your organization that needs to sign the agency agreements.
Okay, thank you, Dinah. And then I'll give a couple minutes if anyone has questions regarding the release of information. Okay, it looks like we don't have any questions, so we'll advance forward. Armando, could you share regarding the updates regarding the city field?
Hi, good morning, everybody. We wanted to share with you all that there's been an update in the responses available for the city prior to entry and the assessment location fields. Initially, the response options used to just have the unincorporated Orange County option for you to select from. But this option has been removed and updated with the 3 options that you can see on your screen, which are unincorporated Orange County, Central, North, and South SPA as their own options. These fields, or this field, currently exists on the enrollment screen and in the 3 assessments for the individual coordinated entry system, FCES, and on the veteran assessment. And then on the next screens, we can show some examples of what the updates look like. On the screen here, you can see on the enrollment screen, how these options appear. So you can see that the 3 options are there to select from. And then on the next screen, we can share a screenshot of how they appear on the assessment location. So on the 3 assessments that we previously mentioned, this is how those 3 options would look on the screen. As before, if this information is left blank, a red message will appear on the screen indicating that a response will be necessary for this field in order to save the changes on the screen. And then if anybody has any questions about this update, you can feel free to include your question on the chat here during this meeting, or you can submit a ticket with us to provide more information.
Thank you, Armando. I don't see any questions coming in for this update, so we'll move forward. Linda, could you please share regarding the Dropbox cleanup?
Yes, good morning, everyone. We will be conducting a biannual agency Dropbox cleanup, which will occur every January and July. So with this, we will need your cooperation. We ask that the agency administrators go into the agency Dropbox folder to save any documentations and files that you will need for your records. So you will have till the end of the day on Friday the 22nd. The dates are kind of wrong here, but you will have until the end of the day of the 22nd. We will be going in on Monday the 25th to clear out the remaining files. So we will be sending out a reminder email for this Dropbox cleanup. So please be on the lookout for that. And again, we thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you, Linda. We didn't have any questions, so we'll move forward. We are introducing a new dashboard and details report for the funding source SSVF. This dashboard is specifically for the additional data that is needed to be collected for SSVF funded projects. Similar to the project-specific data element dashboard and reports that we have introduced in the past, you will see a separate report for the entry screen and exit screen. The SSVF dashboard would have an additional entry screen dashboard for the homelessness prevention data elements. The purpose of the dashboard is to help you review your data for data completeness and find responses for the element that are not considered valid. And the pathways is listed below on how to locate this report. So you'll, from the launching pad, you will click reports, go to the data analysis tab and expand the Orange County system reports, and then navigate to the data quality section. Let's take a look again at what the dashboard looks like. You'll see that there are different charts for each data element. This is similar to the setup of the universal data element and the project-specific data element completeness dashboard. The chart shows whether a response is valid, which would be in green, which means the response was filled in, or if a response is missing, in purple, which means the data is not collected or it is blank. For a client doesn't know or client refused, those responses will be in yellow. Based on the information you will see, you're able to update any data completeness errors that your projects may have. You will also see any exclusion or special requirements on each chart, located under the data element name to help you identify who is required to collect this data element. So you'll see under this chart, connection to SOAR, this is required for head of households and adults. While other data elements here enter military service, you'll see it's required for veterans. So this is the dashboard, so it'll give you an overview of all your projects. If you're interested in reviewing raw data, you can run the details report, which will give you client level data. And if you have any questions, feel free to add it in the chat. Since we don't have any questions, we'll move forward. Jonathan, could you please share?
So for the Data Performance Management Committee meeting, the agenda will include racial inequity dashboard and the emergency shelter PPR. The meeting takes place next week, Thursday, July 14th, 1:30 through 3.
So we do have some time for questions if anyone has questions regarding the topics that we discussed. Feel free to unmute yourself or add the questions into the chat box. Okay, I don't see any questions, so we just want to say thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a great day, and we'll see you at our next user meeting, which is August 3rd.